Hi, it's Chris at the Quilter's Nook, and we are ready for our last Tucker trimmer technique in our Studio 180 technique series. And today it is Triangle Pizzazz. This is a fun little block that has two different options to it. We're going to do one option today, but I'll kind of show you how this is going to work. So for a Triangle Pizzazz, we need rectangles, we need squares, and we need a large rectangle. So I'm going to do a 4-inch finished block for you today. And like I said, there's two options. We have an A option and a B option. And the difference between the two is how they're laid out on your rectangles. So A's are going to be laid out, and we're going to draw lines from the lower right to the upper left. If you do B units, we're going to lay it out so they are drawn from lower left to upper right. Okay, they're just kind of mirror imaged pieces. And you get different results. We're going to do some pinwheels, and the pinwheels will spin different directions depending on the units that you make. We're going to make A units today just to make life easy. So we're going to put our squares on our two rectangles. We're going to draw our lines corner to corner, and we're going to sew on the line this time, okay? And then we are going to trim a 1/4 inch away. On both. So I'm just putting a 1/4 inch line on my sewing line, and then we're going to press to the triangle. So now we have our two pieces ready to go. We are going to flip one, and they're going to end up like this. So we have a gap in between. That gap should look familiar if you've been watching the videos. We did the shaded 4-patch like this. So we're going to flip them, and these are both the same letter. So if you're doing A's, there are 2 A's. If you're doing B's, there are 2 B's. We're going to put it together. We're going to sew nice 1/4 inch. All right. And again, we have that space in between our 2 seam allowances. So we're going to do a little clip right there. And that's going to help us when we press, so that everything goes in the 2 different directions. All right, now we're going to draw some lines. We're going to use the Tucker trimmer, and we're going to use our common diagonal as our 45 degree, and it's going to go along the bottom of your unit. And if you see, I don't know if you can see this or not, I'm going to use a 3.5 inch sizing guide and the 3.5 inch square up. Okay, see how that kind of makes a little triangle? We're going to put those lines right on our seam lines that we sewed. So we have our seam line here and our seam line here. And right at the intersection is where we want our ruler to line up to. So I'm going to put my 45 degree along the bottom. I'm going to put my lines right there on my seam lines. And we're going to draw. We're going to turn it around, and we're going to do the same thing. 45 degree at the bottom. We're going to put our 3.5 inch lines on our seam lines. They come right up to our intersection. And we're going to draw lines. This should look a little familiar to you. So then we're going to put it on our big rectangle. And we're going to sew on the lines. After you get those sewn, it's going to look like this. And we're going to trim these apart by putting our 1/4 inch right on our seam line, because this is an awful big seam allowance, and we don't need all that in our blocks. Okay, So there's one. Flip him around. 1/4 inch on our seam line. Trim. And now we have 2 nice blocks. And we're going to press to our big triangle. Okay, and those are your units. Now, to trim them down, we're going to trim, since these are 4-inch finished, we're going to trim to 4.5 inches. So we're going to take our 4.5 inch sizing guide, and he's going to go on our long seam. Our common diagonal is going to go on our short seam. So everybody lines up nicely. And we're going to trim. Turn him around. Use your 4.5 inch square up lines. The common diagonal is still on our short seam, and our sizing guide is still on our long seam. And we're going to trim those guys up. And there you have a nice triangle pizzazz block. What are you going to do with these? Well, on the back of your technique sheet, there are a bunch of different suggestions. If we take these two that we made and add 2 more, you've got a pinwheel inside of a square inside of a square. That's a fun unit to make. And then you can add some other triangles around the outside, make some fun blocks there. You can do all sorts of fun little things with this. We also have triangles galore, which is a pattern, and that uses the Tucker trimmer and our technique sheet, and you have a nice little project. So there you go. That's everything that I have for you for the Tucker trimmer. So if you'd like a class on any of these, please stop by, let me know. We'd be happy to show you any of these techniques. And next time, we're going to do a tool that you don't think you're going to need. You can't imagine why you would ever need a tool for this. So, I hope I've piqued your interest. Stay tuned, and next week we'll have a brand new tool for you. Have a wonderful day.